How are you, everyone? Finally, our exam day is near. So your exam 1 will be tomorrow. I'm going to tell you now what will be in the exam, like about how many questions from each section. And then if you have any question, I will do a little review. If you don't have any question, then I will start 4.5, which will not be in the exam, not in this exam. Okay, so from here, I'll ask graph, find x-intercept, y-intercept, and slope. Okay, so one of these three. Find x-intercept, y-intercept, slope, and then graph it. This will be one question. Then find the slope from 2 points. 1. The second line problem, definitely. 4 and 5 and 1, they are actually same. So look at the questions A, B, C, and A, B, C on top. From one of these, the numbers will be different, okay? But from one of the scenarios, you have to find x-intercept, y-intercept, slope, and then graph. Definitely find the equation from the graph. So one of these. Find the equation of the line that goes to 2 points. One of these. Find the equation of a line with slope and point 1. Find parallel and perpendicular line 2. One for parallel, one for perpendicular. I'm going to skip the equation of the parallel and perpendicular. But around 8 to 10, I don't remember how many of these. Why you don't have to do any math? You're going to scratch a graph, find the slope of the parallel or perpendicular line, and the equation. So equation, slope, and graph. 3 things for one question. And it will be 8 to 10 questions. Around 5 to 7 of these identify whether the graph represent a function or not. 3 to 6 of these where you have to write whether this equation represent a function or not and why. So 1 for identifying whether it's a function or not, so yes, no question, and 1 for the reason. If it's a function, if the y has odd power, it's a function. If y has even power, it's not a function. So the only reason you have to say y has odd power, y has even power, or no y. Only three answers you're supposed to write. One of these domain and range, I believe 3 of these identify domain and range, 3 or 6, 3 to 6, okay? I'm not sure how many, probably 3 or probably 2, I don't remember. But you have to find domain, also range from a graph. All 3 here. One linear or polynomial, one rational, and one square root. And 2 from here. Okay. So I give you the exam. Now all you have to do is remember all the rules to solve them. Any question. And we're not going to do 4.5. It will not be in this exam. It will be in the next exam. Question. Go ahead. Here. Or the beginning. So from question 1, there will be one with 4 parts: x-intercept, y-intercept, slope, and graph. So one question with 4 parts.
How much is each question?
Total 100%. Okay.
How many seconds?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 question with multiple parts. And half non-multiple choice, half multiple choice. For multiple choice, no partial credit. For non-multiple choice, you're going to get partial credit. Okay. Any other question? Now, do you have any question from any question in the review sheet? Was any topic you want me to go over, which you forgot or which you found hard during lecture? Saida. Okay. Jane. Which question? So from question 1, there'll be one question, either A, B, or C. But if you want me to be more specific, let me tell you, no problem. It will be something like this format, okay? Something like this format. Why are you going to find x-intercept, y-intercept, slope, and then you're going to graph your function, graph your line. Then find the slope. So here you're going to use m equals to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Using this formula, I'm going to give only one pair. You're going to find the slope. And second line question will be exactly same. The function will be different. The number will be different. Okay. So I'm going to change this and this too. 4 and 5. So the format, one of the format from A and 4 and 5, I'll give you that format, and you're going to find graph, blah, blah, blah. Graph of a line will be given. You have to find the equation of the line. Equation of the line in standard form and in slope intercept form. Either both or only one. Okay, I'm not sure. And then equation of a line through 2 points. So first you're going to find slope using the slope formula. Once you find the slope, and then you're going to write y minus y1 slope x minus x1. And then based on which format they're asking, if they're asking standard form, you need to bring x and y together. Constant on the other side, x cannot be negative and no fraction. And if they are asking for slope intercept form, that means it's y equals mx plus b. Anthony, right? 15 with multiple facts. And then for 9, also same thing. You're going to start with this y minus y1 slope x minus x1. And based on the format, you're just going to modify your equation. Now finding parallel or perpendicular from a given line, first step is always you convert this into y equals mx plus b, because you need to see the m. Based on this m, your parallel line will have the same, but perpendicular line will have negative, the opposite sign, and flip version of the fraction. And from finding parallel and perpendicular line, the slope of the equation, you don't need any math, because all you have to do is graph it, plot the point, and then see what they're asking for. Let's say they're asking for parallel to the y-axis. That means you're going to draw a line like this. So it's a vertical line. The equation will be the x equals that number, and your slope will be undefined. But if they're asking for parallel to the x-axis, that means you're going to draw a line horizontal. So it will have equation y equals the y value, and your slope will be 0. Bless you. For identifying graph, all you have to do is draw a line through the graph. If the line crosses your graph more than once, then it's not a function. But if the line crosses your function once, then it is a function. Identifying which equation is a function. The rule is if y has odd power, it is a function. So all you have to do is observe the y's. So y has 1, it's a function. Y has 1, it's a function. Y has 1, it's a function. So the first year function, and then not function is if y has even power or there is no y. For example, here, no y, so not a function. Here, y with even power, so not a function. So you're going to write yes, no, whether they're function or not, and then why do you think they're function or not a function? Your reasoning. 17, 18, 19 is substitute x with the given numbers and then simplify. Okay, let me go over second line. So the second line, basically they're asking if you're given an x value, sorry, 2 x values, how do you find the slope of the line that goes through a graph? So in order to find the slope, we need the formula y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. They gave us x1 and x2, but they did not give us y1 or y2. So what we're supposed to do is we are going to substitute x1 and x2 into the function they gave us, which is this, and then find out what's the y1 and y2 for these x's. So our function is y equals x squared plus 2x plus 1. And we know our x1 is 2. That means our y1 is 2 squared plus 2 times 2 plus 1. So we get 4 plus 1, that gives us 5. So in the equation, we know x2 is 3, x1 is 2. Now we just found y1. So you can replace this y1 with 5. Now the only thing we need is the y2. So they told us that our y2 is 3. So bigger number is 2 and smaller number is 1, okay? Actually, it doesn't matter, but usually bigger number is the next one and the smaller number is the previous one. So they're telling us our x2 is 3, so we have to find what is y2. We do the same thing. We go back to the equation and we substitute. So we have 3 square plus 2 times 3 plus 1. So 9 plus 6 plus 1. 9 and 1 gives us 10. 10 plus 6 is 16. So our y2 is 16. So we come back here and write it 16. Y1 is what? 4 plus 4 plus 5. 9. Thank you. See, I also make mistake. So x1, find y1. Through x2, find y2, and then plug them in. That's all you have to do. What is 16 minus 9? 7. And 3 minus 2? 1. So answer is 7. 7 over 1, but 1 is invisible. They have to write it down. You can keep it, no problem. But in general, you just ignore that. Okay. Any question here? Find the slope, x and y intercept. So in order to find the slope, we need to convert this into y equals mx plus b format. So let's say we are doing the first one, the both are same. So to solve for x, we need to get rid of the x. So subtract 11x from both sides. We get negative 8y is negative 11x plus 88. Our goal is to get the y alone. So we don't need this negative 8. So divide each term by negative 8. Here we have double negative. They cancel out. And here we have plus and minus. So it becomes minus. So 11 over 8x minus 11. Now, while we are trying to find the slope, slope is only the number, okay? Not the variable, it's only the number. So when you solve for slope, we get a bonus thing, which is y-intercept. Our y-intercept is negative 11. But they will ask for point format. So how do we write y-intercept as a point? What's the x value in the y-intercept? 0. And in here, what is our y value? Negative 11. So we found slope, we found y-intercept. Now we need the x-intercept. So we go and find the x-intercept using the method. To find x-intercept, we set y0 and we solve for x. You can use any formula, either the simplified one or the previous one, doesn't matter. But I would say using the first one is better because you can see you can solve easily for x. So we had 11x minus 8y equals 88. Now set y0, it means, so set y0, yeah, it means the entire y thing get vanished. We erase the y's. So you're left with 11x equals 88. We are solving for x. That means we don't need the y 11. So we get x equals 8. But they need point. So how do you write x-intercept? 8 for x and y is 0. See, we set y 0, so our y value must be 0. So once you find your x-intercept, your y-intercept, we can actually graph it. Let me do it here. This is the x, this is the y. Our x is 8, so somewhere here, 8. Y is negative 11, somewhere here, negative 11 and positive 8. And then to draw the graph, you just connect them. That's it. Plot the y-intercept on the y-axis, x-intercept on the x-axis, connect them. So these are the 4 things you need to find. The slope, y-intercept is a point, x-intercept is a point, and plot your graph. Any question? Let me take that attendance. There is 213. Janisha? Janisha, you already have 3 absences. Only 4 absences are allowed, and then all the absences will be counted. Eliza? Jenny, Sergio, question? Question? Okay, not yet. Eliza? Memuna? Fabricio? Sergio here. Miley? Henlart? Oliver? Himadri? Mustafa? Jacqueline? Jiain? Allison? Allison? All right. Anaya? Jason? Adziri? Anthony? You already have your 3 absences. I'm just giving you a warning. The 4th one will be the last one, and then all the absent will be counted. Joseph? Sitleli? Saida? Yeah. Muhammad? Ronaldo here. Daniel? Riza? Jeremiah still here. Camila? Yeah. Philia? Haley? Jasim? Jeremiah Zakif? Okay, so finding equation from graph. We don't need math for the for the slope intercept form. So slope intercept is y equals mx plus b. We are going to keep our y, we're going to keep our x. We just need to substitute what is m and what is b. So you start from B. B is the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept we see here? 2. So we just write 2. And then what is our slope? Means from one point to go to another point, how do you walk? So we have a fraction. Let's say you're going from this point to that point, or this point to this point. It doesn't matter which point you pick. So let's say I'm going to walk from here to there, because this is easy to see. From y-intercept to x-intercept. Are you going up? Are you going down? Down. Down means plus or minus. How many units? 2. 1 and 2. So on the top, we have -2. Because from the y, we went 2 units down. And then once you go 2 units down, how many units, which direction? Which side, left or right? Right means plus or minus? Plus. So we have +6. So we simplify. Plus and minus gives us a minus. 2 and 6. When you simplify, what do you get? 1 and 3. So 1/3x plus 2. So this is the slope intercept. So if they ask me for slope intercept, you stop here. But if they are asking for standard form means ax plus by equals c. It means we need to bring x next to the y, no x minus, and no fraction. So we can actually add the 1/3 x to both sides. So we get 1/3 x plus y equals 2. So our x is not minus, we are happy. But we are still unhappy because we have a fraction. We don't want a 3 on the denominator. How can you get rid of 3 from the denominator? Multiply by 3. So multiply 3, 3, and 3 to multiply each time. So 3 cancel out. We get x plus 3y equals 6. And now you're done with the standard form. Okay. Find the equation of the line with 2 points. You need the slope first because we need to plug in into y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So we can write y minus -3, x minus 8, but we still don't know what is our m. That's why our first step must be what is the m. So the formula for m is what? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So what minus what? y2. 2 minus -3, and then -7 minus 8. Ah, we got double negative. Double negative turns into positive. So what do you on the top? 2 plus 3, which is 5. And on the bottom? -7 minus 8, 15. -15. Can you simplify? What do you get? -1/3. Now that goes here. negative 1/3. So when they do not give us a slope, we need to find the slope first. But if they give us the slope, for example, here, they give us the slope, we don't have to find it, we just substitute everything into the function. Okay. Now they want us to write in standard form. That means bring x and x to one another, no fraction, no negative x. So we have double negative. So we get y plus 3. And what do we do on the other side? Distribute. So negative 1/3 times x gives us negative 1/3 x. Negative 1/3 times negative 8. Negative 1/3 times negative 8. So we have negative and negative turn into positive. So y plus 3 equals 1/3 x positive. And then how do you multiply a fraction with a whole number? Do you multiply both top and bottom or only the top? Only the top, because below we have the invisible one. So what is 1 times 8? 8. And on the denominator we have 3. We are not done because we have to do x and y together. We have to bring them together. So we go to the next step. Here we have y plus 3 equals 1/3 x plus 8/3. So now we have many choices. Either you can bring x next to the y. I forgot my minus line. Either you bring x next to the y and subtract 3. Like you have many choices now. But if you want, you can actually get to the denominator first. So let's say I don't want to see my denominator anymore. I want to get it as a 3 from the bottom. So how can you get it as a 3 from the bottom? Multiply each term. So 3, 3, 3, 3. So top 3, bottom 3 cancel out. Top 3, bottom 3 cancel out. No more fraction. Now we are happy. So we have 3y plus 9. And what is left on the right side? Negative 1x plus 8. Now we want to bring x and y together and number together. So what do we do? If you want to bring x and y together, we add the x to both sides, right? So they cancel out. We get x plus 3y plus 9 equals 8. But we don't want the 9 next to the x and y. So what do you do? Subtract. So x plus 3y equals -1. And now we are done. It's in standard form, no fraction, no negative x. So standard form has 2 things that we want to get. One is no fraction and one is no negative x. I will explicitly mention this in the exam, that write this in standard form, no negative x, no fraction. And this will not be multiple choice. Any question? So this one is exactly same. They give us the slope. So you start from this step and then carry on. Find the slope of parallel and perpendicular. Anytime we want the slope of parallel perpendicular, when we are dealing with parallel perpendicular, we want to see the original slope. What is the slope of the original equation? So we don't see the slope of the original equation here. So we always convert this to get the slope into y equals mx plus b format. Let's say I'm doing this one. So our goal is to get the y alone. So we don't need the x, so we subtract 7x from both sides. So we have 6y equals negative 7x plus 11. Since y is not alone yet, so we divide each term. We get y is negative 7 over 6x and then 11 over 6. Now in here, the only thing we care is the slope. That will help us to identify the slope of the parallel line. What is the slope of the parallel line? Huh? Same thing, negative 7 over 6. And what would be the slope of the perpendicular line? 6 over 7. So the sign changes. This is negative, so this should be positive, and the fraction flips. And that's all they want you to find, the slope. I'm going to skip the equation because usually in the final exam, they don't give the equation. Sometimes they do, but in this exam, I'm going to skip it. I'm just going to ask you, what's the slope of parallel and perpendicular line? So you must show this work and then write this down. And if you don't want to show your work, then do you remember the shortcut method I taught you before? It's shortcut. Since you're solving for y, so it should be x term over y term. And then sign change. So you're going to change the sign and then x term over y term. For example, our x term has 6 coefficient, y term has 7. So not term, x coefficient. I should have coefficient. X coefficient over y coefficient. So x coefficient is 6, y coefficient is 7. 6 over 7, but then you have to change the sign, which is minus. So this is the slope. So at least you are going to write this down and then you can give me the slope without doing any work. So if I follow this method, the slope here will be x term divided by y term. So x term is 5, y term is negative 8. But if you change the sign, the negative will turn into positive. So it will be 5 over 8. Sorry, the other way, yeah, 5 over 8. Any question? Now this, you don't need any math. All you have to do is draw your x and y axis. The first one says, what is the slope of the line perpendicular to the x-axis? And it goes to the point 3, negative 5. So 3, negative 5 is somewhere here. This is 3 and this is negative 5. Now perpendicular to the x-axis. So this is our x-axis. How can we draw its perpendicular line? Are you going to draw a horizontal line or a vertical line? Vertical. So perpendicular means they have to intersect with a 90 degree. So if x-axis is horizontal, its perpendicular must be a vertical line. What is the slope of any vertical line? Undefined. And let's say they're also asking for equation, because I will. What would be the equation of the perpendicular line? X equals C. The only number they are going through is the x equals 3 number. They are not crossing y-axis anywhere, so our equation cannot have any y in it. So it has only x and then the number. X equals 3. They also wanted to find the slope of the line perpendicular to the y-axis. So let me draw another one here. X and y, and the point is 3, -5. Now our y-axis is here. If y-axis is a vertical line, its perpendicular line must be a what? Horizontal line. So you draw a horizontal line so that the intersection is a 90 degree. Now what is the slope of any horizontal line? Huh? 0. And what will be the equation of this horizontal line? The only point it goes through is the y value -5. So it must be y equals -5. And that's all you have to do. 1 point for drawing your line, 1 point for the slope, 1 point for the equation. 3 points. And I'll give you 8 to 10. I don't remember how many, probably 10 or probably 8. Okay. Next one are exactly same thing, but this time it's not x or y axis, it's respect to another line. So they are asking, they give us the point -3, 8. So -3, and let's say this is 8 somewhere here. What is the slope and the equation of the line parallel? Let's do one by one. What is the slope and equation of the parallel line parallel to x equals 9 line? What is the slope and equation of the line parallel to x equals 9 line? So x equals 9, let's say this is 9. How do you draw x equals 9 line? Is it a horizontal line or it's a vertical line? Vertical line, because we are touching only x value 9. It must be a vertical line. Now it's parallel line. How can you draw a line that is parallel to this line but goes to this point? Are you going to draw another vertical or horizontal? Parallel. Parallel means vertical. See here. The original line here is a vertical line. So it's parallel must be another vertical line. So we draw a vertical line. What is the slope of any vertical line? Undefined. And what is the equation of this vertical line? X equals -3. And now let's do the perpendicular. How can you draw a line that is perpendicular to x equals 9 line and going to this point? Another horizontal line, sorry, the vertical line or a horizontal line? Horizontal line. So you're going to draw this line. This is perpendicular line. What is the slope of any horizontal line? 0. And what's the equation of this horizontal line? Y equals 8. So the green one is the parallel line, and the red one is the perpendicular. Okay, Anthony. Oh, this one undefined. Undefined. So in the exam, it will be something like this. The question will be here. Whatever question I have is here. And then in the next slide, I'm going to give you your X and Y axis. So we are going to draw the lines they're asking you. And then I'll give you option. What's the equation? Is it X equals something or Y equals something? And then about the slope. What is the slope? Is the slope 0 or is the slope undefined? So you're going to pick one of them. If it's X equals, you're going to write X equals the number. And if the slope is 0, you're going to write 0. Sorry, X equals what doesn't have slope 0. X equals has slope undefined. Okay. So read the question, draw your graph, pick your equation, one of them, either X equals a number, Y equals a number. So X equals what number if it's X equals a number? And then if it's X equals a number, the slope is always undefined. If you have the equation Y equals a number, then the slope will be 0. Question? No. And I already showed you this. One of these. Let's do a fraction. Let's say the last one. They gave us f of x is this. They want us to find f of negative 2/3. So you're going to substitute every x you see with the number. So 18 times negative 2/3 square plus 3 times negative 2/3 and then minus 4. And then you simplify. So one thing you observe is that you have 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. They cancel out. So from the second term, we get -2. And the last term is single, we just bring it down. Now in the first term, what do you do? Do you multiply 18 with that, or do you do this square first? What comes first? Exponent. So we keep our 18 and we do this. So what is negative square? Means negative times negative. Positive. What is 2 square? 4. What is 3 square? 9. So we distributed the power, and now you see we have 18 on the top, 1 on the bottom. So we can cancel 9 and 18. 9 goes to 18 twice. So we left with 2 from the cancellation and 4 from before. So when you multiply them, what do we have? 8. And when you combine them, what do we have? -2 minus 4? -6. And what is that -6? 2. First one? No. 17. F of x is 10x squared plus 4x minus 1. They want us to find what is f of negative 2/5. So you substitute every x you see with negative 2/5. So 10 times negative 2/5 squared, 4 times negative 2/5, and then minus 1. And do the same thing. First, we apply the power. So 10 times what? A negative square becomes positive. Because see, negative square means negative times negative. So negative times to positive, and then 2 over 9, 2 over 4, 2 over 5 becomes 4 over 25. Plus and minus, we're multiplying. Minus. So we have 5 on the bottom. What goes on the top? 8. Because you only multiply top. And our 1 is single, so just bring the negative 1 down. Now, below 10, we have 1. So that means you have 10 on the top, 25 on the bottom. Can you simplify them with any number? Both of them are divisible by what? 5. 5 goes to 10 how many times? 2. 5 goes to 25 how many times? 5. Now, at the end, what do we have on the top? 8. And what do we have on the bottom? 5. And we still have this. Don't combine them, just bring them down because they're fraction. So 8 over 5 minus 1. And now what do you see? The fraction cancel out. -1. So they look hard, okay? But they're actually not hard. If you simplify in the middle, they will become easier. So instead of multiplying them, try to simplify them. Question? Domain and range. So domain is the x value. What is the smallest x value you see till what is the largest x value you see? So for this function, see, we have the x values keeps moving, keep becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So what is the x value you have? The smallest x value in your graph? Negative infinity. And for every point, our x values are increasing. So what is the largest x value you see? Positive infinity. And range is the y. Which y value you see? Or from which y value to which y value you see in the graph? So right now you see which number for the y? 3. Do you see any other y value in your graph? 0 is here. Do you have any graph here? So what is the only y value you see in your graph? So range has only one number, 3. It's only one y value. And since it's one number, we represent that with a curly bracket. For an interval, we use parentheses and brackets, but for only one number, it's curly brackets. Let's see this one. What is the domain here? The lines are going on forever. So for every point, do you have an x and y value? We have an x and y value. We have an x and y value. We have an x and y value. So what is happening to x values? The x values are getting smaller, right? this x value is this x value is smaller than this one. So this is 0. This x value is smaller than this one, and this is -4. So the x values are going toward which number? Negative infinity. They are getting smaller and smaller and smaller on the left side. Now if you observe the right side, this x value, we have another x value, we have another x, another x, another x. So this x value is 6, this is 8, this is 10. So what is happening to all the x values? They are getting toward which number? Positive infinity. So our domain is all the numbers we see. Range is the y. So what is the smallest y value you have in your graph? Here, right? 3. Do you have any y value at 2? No. At -2? No. The smallest y value we have in our graph is 2. So 3, it's 3. So we start from 3, and since the graph going on forever and ever, the y value is increasing to which number? Positive infinity. Infinity gets a parenthesis, and since we don't have any hole in our graph, so the 3 gets a bracket. Anytime you have a hole like this in the graph, the number next to the hole gets parentheses. And if you don't have a hole, no hole, something like full circle or something like a line, it's the bracket. Any question? And I'm going to give at least 3. Okay. So here I did 2. We are going to the same thing, but this time the equation. So polynomial. Polynomial means no negative power, no fraction power, no variable on the denominator. If you see them, no root, radical, anything, then the polynomial, for example, here, it's a line, it's a polynomial. So we can substitute our x with any number and we can get a valid y value back. As a result, our domain is from negative infinity to positive infinity. Means we can substitute x with anything, no problem. The second one is irrational. And rational has one problem, denominator. Our denominator cannot be 0. Denominator can be a positive number, it can be a negative number, but definitely it cannot be 0 because we don't know how to break anything into 0 pieces. We don't know how to break 1 into 0 pieces. We don't know. So we can substitute x with any number except for that number which makes the denominator 0. So we take the denominator x plus 8 and we set it not to be 0 and we solve for x. So how do you solve for x? Subtract 8. So not substitute our x with -8. So from the number line, negative to positive infinity, we can pick any number and substitute our x that with that, but it definitely cannot substitute -8. So we write our domain as 2 intervals. In the first interval, which number to which number you have? What is the smallest number you see in your first interval? Mustafa, huh? Negative infinity to -8. You? (-8 to infinity). And we must put parentheses for (-8) because we cannot substitute (-8) for our x. When you cannot use a number for x, we represent that by a parenthesis, just like the whole. Whole means we don't have any number there. Same thing here. (-8), we have a whole, we don't have any number. We cannot use (-8). Now for even root, we know square root of positive exists, square root of 0 exists. However, square root of negative number doesn't exist. So that's why our problem is lying inside the root. Whatever we have inside the root, that cannot be negative. So we take this 2x plus 1 and we said, well, that expression can be bigger than 0, no problem with that. It can be equal to 0, no problem with that. So we start from the condition. The function can be positive, can be 0. And then we solve for x. So what do? Subtract 1, right? So 2x has to be bigger than -1. And now to get the x alone, divide by 2. So our condition is that our x has to start exactly from -1/2. It cannot be anything smaller than -1/2. So let's say -1/2 is here, and on the right side we have positive infinity. We're going to start from -1/2. So x can be equals -1/2. We have no problem with that. And x has to be bigger than -1/2. So how are you going to write this in table notation? Huh? Go ahead, Joshua. Sorry, not Joshua. Mustafa. Bracket. Because you can use -1/2 until infinity. And infinity always gets parentheses. So 3 questions. 1, domain is everything. We have no problem. Second one, our problem is denominator cannot be 0. Third one, the problem is the function inside the root. It can be positive or can be 0. And then we find. Any question? No. And then your system of equations. So remember, let me refresh your memory. If you get a false statement, actually, let me write this down here. After all the variable cancel out, if you get a false statement, then what type of solution you have? Infinite solution or no solution? No solution because it's false. No solution. But if you get a true statement, for example, the same number on both sides, then it's infinite solution. Infinite solution. No, I don't have space, so actually is symbol. We have infinite solution. Except for these 2 cases, if we have a variable you can solve for, then it will be a unique solution. X equals something and y equals something. Let me do one with elimination. So in order to use elimination, you have to align your variables. So we have x on the top, but we don't have y next to that. So we bring the y, it becomes positive 5y. And the 15 is extra, so we bring it to the other side, it becomes negative 15. In the second equation, we have 3x plus 2y equals 23. Now, in order to use elimination, we want the same variable with same number, same coefficient, but opposite sign. That means we want to have negative 3 here so that you can cancel them. But in order to have negative 3 here, we have to multiply this also by negative 3 and this also by negative 3. Then we get negative 3x minus 15y equals positive 45. And our second line is 3x plus 2y equals 23. Once we have the same sign with opposite, same number with opposite signs, we add them, they cancel out. We get negative 15y minus 2 plus 2y gives us negative. Did I make a mistake? Negative 13y. And on the other side, we have 8 and 6. Yeah, I did something wrong. X plus 5y equals negative. So I switch their position. So x plus 5y equals 15. Oh, because my sign is different here. It was negative before. But never mind. We keep our sign. We need to divide by negative 13 both sides. So we get y value is negative 68 over 13. And it's not reducible. But in the exam, I'm going to give you something that is reducible. Okay. So once we have a y value, we go back to any of the equation and we solve for x. So let's say we are taking the first equation. X plus 15 is negative 5y. We are solving for x. We don't need the 15. We subtract 15 from both sides. We get x equals negative 5y minus 15. But you already know what is y. Let me do it here. So we get x equals negative 5 times negative 68 over 13. And then minus 15. The negative and negative turns into positive, and we multiply the top. 68 times 5. 5 times 8 is 40. We get 4 on the top. 5 times 6 is 30 plus 4 is 34. So 340 minus 15. Again, in the exam, I'm going to give you something you don't have to deal with fraction, okay? But in the final exam, they may give you fraction. So in order to combine them, you need the same denominator. So multiply top and bottom by 13. So denominator is 13. And we need to know what is 15 times 13. Let me show you a shortcut, okay? For multiplication. You multiply this and you multiply this. It's only a shortcut. It's not applicable to everything. Shortcut. So 5 times 3 is 15. Probably you'll get confused. Never mind. Since your exam is tomorrow, let me not confuse you more. So 5 times 3 is 15. We write 5 here. We need 1. 3 times 5 is 3 plus 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So 45. We leave one space blank. And then 1 times 15 gives us 15. We add the results. We get 591. So 195 minus 340. 340 minus 195. This becomes 10. This becomes 3. 10 minus 5 is 5. 3 minus 9 we cannot do. So the 3 becomes 2 and the 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 9 is 4. 2 minus 1 is 1. So 145 over 13. All these things we are doing only because one of the sign is different from what we had in class. So your solution is here. It's 145 over 13 and negative 68 over 13. This is our solution. But in the exam, again, I'm going to give you something easier to deal with, not hard. And then you have these two scenarios. Okay. Make sure don't be absent tomorrow. It doesn't matter what is your reason. If you're absent, you're going to get 0. So try not to be absent and definitely don't be late. See, there are so many things to do. 15 questions in multiple parts. There's a lot of things here to do. That's why you can come early, but don't come late. Good luck with your exam.